Okay, like what I promise, I said we are going to be very slow. We are not going to be fast. I'll be very slow as I'm speaking so that you can pause the video, practice it, and we continue. But don't forget, you certainly need a computer to use to practice what we are going to do. So, we are still talking about booting. So, and by way of definition, we gave some analogy that will help you understand what booting is. Because you have to first of all boot your computer before you use it, and after using it, you have to shut it down. And when you are shutting it down, you don't use the hardware parts. Remember, you don't press this power button on your top casing or your casing to shut it down. You will come to this place. So let me define what booting is by um, a layman's understanding. I don't want to speak plenty grammar here. Booting is simply a process or the process of computer initialization. What do I mean by computer initialization? Remember, I talk about you waking up, being unconscious as you are sleeping, and I make it synonymous with using the computer. When you press your computer, you have energized it. If your battery is okay or you have a power source, you have just energized the computer, and your computer will not be automatically ready for you to use. No, your computer cannot be immediately you power on your computer and it will load to this particular place where we call the desktop environment. No, it will pass through a process. Your computer will first of all check whether there are some computer that, depending on the operating system that you are using, if your mouse is not connected, it will tell you that the mouse is not connected. If the keyboard, this is peculiar to if you are using desktop computer, if the keyboard is not connected, it will notify you that the keyboard is not connected. And there are some computer, when you on it, you see a pop-up, you hear a pop-up sound, warm. Then your computer will also check whether your RAM is there. If your RAM is there, your computer will be ready to display, because without the visual aspect, you will not be able to see what you are doing. We will talk about the different components of the computer and what they, how they function, and their faults. Their faults, when they are not working, when they have faults, the signal you have. So assuming your RAM is not functioning, your RAM is not okay, because it is your RAM that enable the processing. Your RAM and your processor helps, the speed of your processor and your RAM is what helps the computer to process any data or information in your system. So if your RAM is not fixed well or your RAM is not working, your computer will not display. So when your computer does not display, say as a technician, the very first place you go to is to go and check the RAM, whether it is okay or not. You can, if it is dust that affected, you can just remove it, clean it, and fix it back, and it will start working. I'm going to teach you as if you are an engineering student that is doing computer engineering. There are some maintenance aspects I will dive into, so that when you are using your computer, so in this case, you need to have some tools. Let me not go there. So I'm talking about booting of the computer. There is a process. So we have posts, power on safe test. If you check your internet, power on safe test. So when you on your computer, your system will self test itself. Power on self test. Your system will self test itself to see whether all the components are connected before it will work. So if your processor is faulty, your system will not still display, and your system cannot even work without your processor being okay. If there is a problem with the operating system, your computer will display because the RAM is okay, but the operating system is faulty. Your computer will indicate and tell you, okay, operating system missing, or if your hard disk don't shift small, your computer will tell you operating system missing, or any grammar it will speak. And you need to, yeah, and if it's saying operating system, maybe your operating system don't corrupt or any other thing. But what I'm trying to say in essence is your computer will self test itself. It will self test itself and know, okay, this part is working, this part is working. And if all the components that makes up your computer systems, all of them are working, your computer will boot to this desktop. So what I mean by booting is simply the process of computer initialization. So when your computer boots, it will come to this desktop and stay waiting for you to take the next action, because garbage in, garbage out is what we use as a very simple term in the computer industry. So if your computer is working and you have pressed your power button on and everything is sound perfectly working, depending on the speed of your computer will load fast or load slowly. It will come to this desktop environment and stay waiting for you. So that process of computer initialization is called booting. So assuming I want to shut down my computer, depending on the window I'm using or you are using, if you are using Windows 8, remember I talked about window before now. If you are using Windows 8 or Windows 10, if you are using Windows 7, for example, your taskbar, your start button, sorry, your start button will always be on the taskbar. This is your taskbar. We will talk about the taskbar later. I say I'm going to be elaborate so that when I finish, you should be able to teach another person. That is the point. That is my aim. That is why I want to teach you computer. I am an ICT expert, so I want to teach you computer so that you know and teach another person. And I will teach you the business aspect of computer. Forget about everybody, everybody that are doing computer. No, not everybody understand the business of computer. So you come to your start button if you are using Windows 7. This is the taskbar. We will talk about the taskbar later. So if you are using your Windows 7, your start button will always be on the taskbar. But now I'm not using Windows 7, I'm using Windows 8 Pro. How do you know the window you are using? Just come to my computer. If you come to my computer, right click on it. I say right click. You should be able to know the difference between right click and left click now. So I'll navigate to properties. I click on properties. If I click on properties, this is where I will know my system configuration. When you want to buy a computer, what you should always look out for is the specification of the computer. So right now you can see Windows 8. This is the window I'm using, Windows 8 Pro, and my laptop is carrying i5. We have higher versions of processor, but this my own is, I don't get money, so this is the processor speed, Intel Core i5. Then I'm using 4 gig RAM. 4 gig RAM, that is the RAM size I'm using, whereas this is the processor speed I'm using. And I am using a 64-bit operating system. I talk about operating system before now. I talk about the RAM before now. I talk about the processor before now. So assuming I'm using, let me close this. I'm using Windows 8 Pro. So I will not come here. Even though I come here to click, I'll still navigate. I can still navigate, but that is not what I want to do. I want to shut down this computer because we are talking about booting. When you boot, when you finish working with the computer, you need to shut it down. So what do? You come to this, take your mouse. This is my mouse pointer. Take it to this right hand side. Then you see these icons will come up. Then you go down, go to settings. When you come to settings, You click on settings. When you click on settings, you come to the power button. You see power here. I'm doing this so that even if you have your computer in your house, you don't need to go to any cyber cafe or any computer school to learn. I'm going to teach you. So if you come have computer, just follow this training step by step. Just click on it. If you click on it, we have sleep here, and we have shut down, and we have restart. When do you need sleep? Assuming you are working with your computer and a client or somebody, a visitor come to your house, there were some application you were running and you don't want to shut down your computer. And remember, we are talking about energy management opportunities. So instead of you to leave this your screen like this to keep on consuming power, instead of you to leave this your screen like this to keep on consuming power, you can just come to this place, click here, sleep will hibernate. Some people call it hibernate. Sleep will hibernate this screen and the light will go off. That does not mean that this computer is not still, there's no power. Immediately you come and on it, it will just restore. It will just come up and you continue. That means you have not shut down this computer entirely. So that is when you use sleep. If you read what is here, just pause and read. The PC stays on but uses low power. Apps stay open on when your PC works up. So when you come and click maybe press the power button or press your keyboard, the system will wake up. You are instantly back to where you left off. So it does not shut down this computer. So if I click shut down, that means I want power to go out of this computer. So I'm not clicking because I'm recording. And I told you that each time I finish working with my computer, I shut it down and I remove the power from the source. I remove my charger from the source in case there is an abnormal outage, so that my system, I wake up in the morning, before you know it is not powering again because there was fluctuation in power, so it can destroy your system. So if I say restart means if I'm working with my computer and my computer freezes, my computer hangs, or my computer lags, that means it's not responding as it's supposed to respond. And I've tried, it's not working. So I can come and say restart. Restart does what? Closes all up, turn off the PC, and then turns it on again. That is what we call warm booting. Whereas that is what we call warm booting. Whereas cool booting is the one when you shut down this computer totally, you shut it down, you close it, you go and sleep. When you come in the morning, you power it on again. That is cool booting. You are powering your computer from a cool state. Whereas this one, I'm still using the computer, my processor is still hot, but I come here and I restart because my computer lags. My computer is not responding, so I just restart. So that is what these three buttons stand for. So by way of a definition, I've told you that booting is simply the process of computer initialization. And I have told you that we have two types of booting: cool booting and warm booting. Cool booting is starting your computer from a cool state, whereas warm booting is starting your computer from an already existing state that your computer was still working. We will be back, and we believe this meets you at the point of your need and you understand what we are teaching. Thank you and remain blessed.